Man, that cup race was so boring, it literally put me to sleep afterwards. Welcome to episode 32 of the Louisiana Divebomb podcast, and we just went to the last great Coliseum in Bristol, baby, Bristol Motor Speedway, for a special trio of racing. Well, actually, quartet if you think about it with ARCA, but we don't really talk about that. Trucks Thursday, Xfinity Friday, Cup Sunday, Saturday actually. Sunday was football, so that was good for me. I want to talk about the cup race and just how tremendously boring it was. I mean, there's still somewhat action there, but I mean, my God, there was just nothing that could stop Kyle Larson. He led 462 laps, the most laps led in a race by a Hendrick driver who went on to win. That's crazy. I mean, I know Larson was good at Bristol, but geez, like that's a ridiculous amount of laps led. And I think the only other person, well, Bubba led a lap, and then Alex Bowman led 34 laps, Reddick led 3, and that was it. So all that, we had 4 different leaders, but Kyle Larson led the most, 462. That's crazy. Not to mention there wasn't too much going on in the race, incidents-wise. Only 2 cars DNF'd. One of which being Corey Lajoie, which we'll talk about that whole debacle later. But I just want to, like, what happened from the spring to the fall? What happened? The spring race was so great because tires wore off like crazy. You had to actually manage the car rather than just keep riding around because there was little to no tire wear. I just don't understand what went wrong. And apparently it was the same tire, which I don't buy that one bit, because if it was the same tire, we'd see some fall off, not little to none, and there was barely any passing. There were almost 3,600 passes made in the Bristol race earlier in the season. This is just staggering. We went from about 3,600 passes in the spring race to 2,300. Literally cut in half. It made the race so much more boring, and it didn't help that there was one driver who just kept dominating and dominating and dominating to a point where now his win margin of 7 seconds is the largest win margin in the NextGen era. And I mean, that's nothing to say about Kyle Larson. He's just doing his job. He's just running his race and dominating like always. But, like, you just can't just go backwards. Like, we literally had probably the best race of the year at Bristol. Now, given Atlanta, Kansas, Talladega, Daytona, they're always fun races to watch, but Bristol was probably the best one because we actually had tire fall off, and we went away from that. Why did we go away from that? I don't understand. Not to mention, the next gen sucks on short tracks. You can't even pass. So to say that Bristol was the best race of the season is crazy. But that's because they had tire wear. And when there's no tire wear, no tire fall off, then the race is just boring because everyone's running around with each other. Like Ty Gibbs, for example. Now, his car faded off in the later run, but he was in a do-or-die situation where he needed to pass cars in order to keep his playoff hopes alive. He's sitting there battling with Daniel Suarez. Suarez is like 3 or 4 laps down in 31st, and he can't even get by him. Is the next gen really that bad at the short tracks? Really? He can't pass a car that's 31st, 4 laps down, because it's impossible to pass on the next gen, regardless of position. If it's for the lead, if it's for 5th, if it's a lap car, if they're in front of you, you can't go. You can't go anywhere. Now, I know they put resin and PJ1 or whatever the hell it was on the bottom, but there's really nothing more than running the outside lane. You can run the bottom. Larson was able to run the bottom in 3 and 4, but the outside is usually the preferred lane around this track, and you'd have to get into people, bump them, get dirty with them. Not seeing that. Not seeing that one bit. So yeah, there were a lot of things that happened during the race. This was a cutoff race. That was just my little rant beforehand. I mean, Kyle Larson won. He dominated, led 462 out of 500. That's absurd. If we really want to go deep in the details with how much percentage-wise, that is, he led 92% of the race. 92% of the race. That's crazy. So throughout the race, while Larson was leading, there was a lot that happened. Denny Hamlin, he entered needing to have a solid performance, and he did. He had a very solid job of running inside the top 10, top 5 for a majority of the night. Didn't get to lead a lap, but he did what he needed to do to try and advance. His teammate, Martin Truex Jr., also doing what he needed to do to get into the second round. He was basically second fiddle to Kyle Larson most of the night, and then he sped on pit road. I believe it was the last yellow. The last caution, he sped on pit road by 0.009 miles an hour. It's something so minuscule where it really wouldn't have made a difference whether he won or not, or gained a position. But it did make a difference whether he would win or not, because he got sent to the tail end of the field, and bye-bye track position. You're done. You're going a lap down now. And like I said, next gen at these short tracks, you get behind a guy, you can't pass him. I don't understand why it works that way, but that's just how it is. Ty Gibbs, he entered fine. He was doing good. He was running inside the top 10. He also sped on pit road, and he got sent to the shadow realm, but he was able to recover somewhat nicely. He was able to stay inside the top 10, but like I mentioned, he was behind Daniel Suarez, and he just couldn't go anywhere. And eventually his car faded away, and he fell down to, where did he fall down to? 15th. Yeah, his car really faded off in the longer run. Don't mind me. That's a paper towel. Yeah, that is a paper towel. I don't have any tissues right now, but I'm going to use it because for some reason, every time I record, my nose just wants to run. Alright, anyway. Those were the two playoff drivers that really had playoff implications that really plagued him. The other one, Harrison Burton, he lost power steering in the middle of the race, was able to return, but he finished the race 78 laps down. Yeah, it was going to be a rough night for that team regardless. Like I mentioned, Daniel Suarez, he built up such a good gap to the points heading into this race, and for some reason, his car was just dog water. I mean, not even good dog water, if there's any good dog water. It's just terrible. That car was, I don't even think it cracked the top 30 at some point. I think it was outside the top 30 all weekend long. It was that bad. But by the grace of God, Daniel Suarez made it by just a few points and was able to salvage his season. Brad Keselowski, not so much. His car was a little bit better than Suarez's, but couldn't really advance much further past the top 20. Also, Tyler Reddick didn't have a good car, but he was able to, I think he got a stage win. No, he didn't get a stage win, but he got stage points, and that helped him. So he was surprisingly close to the cutoff line, but was able to just stay out of trouble, run his race, and was able to move on. Chase Briscoe was also in a bad spot. He needed to have a very good race, and he did just that. He stayed inside the top 10, I think, the entire night. That 14 team, they got something special brewing heading into the round of 12, so they advanced. So the 4 drivers being eliminated, obviously. Harrison Burton, too far back on points. Where is it? There it is. Harrison Burton, out, too far back. Keselowski, too far back on points. Martin Truex Jr. was in by a few points when he was running in second, and then the speeding penalty killed him, so he's out. Ty Gibbs was also out by a few points. He was actually in for the first half of the race, then he started to fade back as Denny Hamlin moved up. Then he was out by just a few points and then just couldn't pass. The car faded away. He's out. So those are the 4 drivers eliminated, and everything gets reset now to Kyle Larson back atop the totem pole. Christopher Bell, Tyler Reddick, William Byron, Ryan Blaney, Denny Hamlin, Chase Elliott, and Joey Logano are the top 8 that are currently in prime position to move on to the next round. But that could change at any given moment. So the bottom 4, Austin Cindric, Daniel Suarez, Chase Briscoe, Alex Bowman. Oh boy, it's going to be a very interesting next round where the Cup Series, they're going to start this one at Kansas, go to Talladega, and then Charlotte Roval. Charlotte Roval is different. We'll get into that in a couple episodes from now. Actually, we'll get into that after Talladega. But nonetheless, it's a 1.5 miles, a super speedway, and a road course. And really, the road course kind of caters to those on the bottom 4. Like, Bowman's solid on the road courses. Chase Briscoe, very good as well. Suarez won on a road course before. Austin Cindric had a very good performance at Watkins Glen as well. So, those 4 going to make for an interesting round of 12. And Denny Hamlin just got so lucky in this round of 16 where he needed to have a good run at Bristol to bail him out. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Sitting in the back of a super speedway race like Atlanta, where track position is very crucial, and you just still get caught up in a wreck on the last lap while you were sitting in the back waiting for the wreck to happen. That's just blasphemous. But yeah, going to be real interesting seeing how the front runners do if they can stay out of trouble, because Talladega, we've seen it in the past. It could be a wreck fest where Big One takes out a bunch of people, or we get little to no yellows. It's just a drag race between the first lane, the second lane, maybe the third lane if they're saving fuel, because the NextGen made that car somehow a worse product for Talladega. But we'll figure that out. Yeah, so some notable results here. I'm not going to go through all of them, but some notable results. Bubba finished 3rd. He had a very great race. He was inside the top 10 for a majority of the night. He got to lead a lap, the highest finishing non-playoff driver after his recent contract extension with 23XI Racing, despite not making the playoffs this year. He's having a career year regardless. No wins, no playoffs, but he's had the most top 5s in a Cup season, the most top 10s in a Cup season. Like I said, still doesn't have that win, but there's solid improvement from the 23. I mean, he's on par now with the best average finish of his Cup Series season. And yeah, we're going to Kansas. He won in Kansas 2 years ago, and since then, he's really become like a threat on these 1.5 mile races where it's like, okay, you expect Bubba to be inside top 5, top 10, giving you a solid run, and we could see some more of that at Kansas. Don't know just yet, but we'll see later on down the road. Ryan Blaney, I think he was the only car that was able to maneuver throughout the field, where he started back in 22nd, but as the night went on, the 12 car got better, and he finished P6. Had a solid run. Good on you. Ryan Preece, also a very good run. We don't know what he's going to be doing for 2025, but he finished 7th at Bristol. Kind of should have put money on that. I had a feeling that would happen, but oh well. Michael McDowell just missed out on a top 10. He got in there very late, and then the longer the run went, the worse the car was, and he fell just outside the top 10. Noah Gragson as well finished 12th, had a very solid run, was able to stay out of trouble and just maneuver his way closer towards the top 10. Zane Smith starting to show some improvement. He finished 16th after starting 33rd. That's really crazy to think of. And then one other notable thing, Corey Lajoie. So Corey Lajoie had a very impressive qualifying effort, faded back in the race as expected, but then he overcorrected and was the last caution, and that is basically his legacy at Spire Motorsports. Now, unprecedented, but it happened over the weekend where there was a driver swap. So a driver trade actually happened in NASCAR. And I can't recall a time this happened other than, I believe, 2012? I don't even think it was a driver swap. It might have been, but I'm not sure. This was the last time I can think of. When Kurt Busch and Regan Smith swapped rides, Kurt Busch went from the 51 at the end of the season to the 78, and then he ran for them in 2013 and did solid. And then Regan Smith was in the 51. So Corey Lajoie and Justin Haley are going to swap rides for the rest of the season. And already for next season, Justin Haley is going to be running the 7 for Spire Motorsports for the rest of this season and for 2025. So that puts the whole rumors to rest of, is Alex Bowman going to be demoted to the 7? Is Kyle Busch going to be driving the 7 after his contract gets bought out? Nope. it's going to be Justin Haley. So Justin Haley going to be in a good spot to showcase what he could do with a team like Spire Motorsports, which it's better than Rick Ware Racing, don't get me wrong, but it still has its kinks that it needs to work out, and it's got a good lineup. It's going to have Michael McDowell next year, assume it's going to have Carson Hocevar next year. Justin Haley, that's not a bad trio. It's not a bad trio. Corey Lajoie, on the other hand, he's getting a demotion down to Rick Ware Racing, where I don't even think his ride's secured for next season. But it could work out. It could work out. We'll have to see, because Justin Haley definitely overperformed in the car that he had this year. So we'll be able to get a good picture of if, for the 7 team, if it was the driver's fault, meaning Corey Lajoie, or if it's just the car itself for Spire. So that'll be fun to work out for the last 6 races, actually 7 races of the season. Yeah, they're going to Kansas, so that should be fun. We can talk about the Xfinity race for a brief moment. Dale Jr. returned, and I felt alive again, and then I felt dead on lap 2 because he had issue after issue after issue, and I mean, I was just so frustrated. I'm so frustrated, my nose is running again. I don't know why this keeps happening every time I record, but I'm so frustrated having to watch Junior just one time. I just want him to have a good race and have a good chance to win. One time. That happened last year. He led 47 laps. He looked like he was going to win. He wasn't going to win. He had a top 5 finish in play. Nope. His foot catches on fire during the race. Can't have anything nice. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe 2024, he'll have a solid chance. He's really high up on odds to win the race. Might as well do it. He was plus 800. Ironic. But I was thinking, okay, maybe this year's actually going to be the year. No issues. He'll be fine. Nope. Immediately has radio issues. So what do? Yeah, let's go ahead and switch the helmet out. Let's get the backup helmet in, see if that works. Nope, that wasn't it. Hey, maybe it's the wire in the radio. Okay, the radio wire that's connected to the headrest. Okay, let's replace that out. Boop, boop. There you go. All right, we're good, right? No, we're not good, because he wears glasses now. He's getting up there in age, but he can still race a car good. So he needs his glasses when he's racing. The glasses got lost in the first helmet. What? So he ran basically the first half of the race without glasses? Are we being for real? Not to mention, the radio wire that they replaced, it fell in the firewall on the driver's side, and it turned the volume up really, really loud, and he couldn't do anything about it, so he had to tell TJ, hey, could you talk a little quieter, please? Thanks. It's getting a little bit too loud in here. I can't turn the volume down. Like, everything just went to shit for Junior that race, and I just couldn't fathom it. Then once he got everything situated, he couldn't get past Ryan Truex. Top 5 finish? No? Okay. I guess he'll just sit there and just lose a spot to Brandon Jones and just have Brandon Jones finish 6th instead of Junior. A solid car for it being his only NASCAR race of the season. Definitely not going to be his last. But we probably won't see him until 2026. So he finished 7th in that race. Phenomenal. And like I mentioned, last year, Junior Motorsports last year at Bristol was just absolutely terrible. Justin Allgaier won the race last year, but every other Junior Motorsports car wrecked out, or they had some sort of a issue on the car. Well, that changed this year, because Justin Allgaier was the only one that was wrecking a lot. He wrecked, I think he was caught up in 3 different wrecks. The first one wasn't his own fault. He was leading, and then, was it Austin Green, Parker Retzlaff? I think someone cut a tire in front of, it was Austin Green. Austin Green cut a tire in front of Parker Kligerman, bounced off the wall, came down, clipped the 7, and the rear bumper was dangling by a thread, so they cut that off. And then Allgaier just kept wrecking, kept spinning, kept causing yellows. And that race is what costed him the regular season title, because Stone Cold, Cole Custer, got the job done. He won, and he won the regular season title, so he gets all the bonus points for that, and Allgaier gets nothing. Oh, I mean, he gets something, but He doesn't get the regular season title or the 15 bonus points for the playoffs, which that could be huge, and that's if he has an issue. Also, Sheldon Creed finished second for the 13th time in his career. 13th time. You would think that at some point he'd break through and get that first win, but I don't know if that's going to happen. And it pains me to say that, but the year he's having, it just seems like bad luck after every single corner. Finished second last week to Connor ZILISCH, a guy who just ran his first Xfinity race, dominated, won, no problem. Sheldon Creed over here just can't get a win. He can't get a break. He's finished inside the top 5 for literally half of the races this season. He's got 13 top 5s in 26 races, 17 top 10s to go with that, 2 poles. He's led 108 laps, and he's really high up on the driver points. I'm not sure where he's at. Well, he was. We got to look at where the playoffs have him at. Sheldon Creed is sitting 9th in the playoffs right now because he doesn't have those wins. He's got all the top 5s, he's got the top 10s, he's very consistent, but he can't get the victory lane, and that's his only downfall. If he could just win a race, he'll be fine. But no, he's entering the playoffs -3 to the cutoff line to Riley Herbst, because Riley Herbst won at Indianapolis. Everyone inside that top 8 in points: Allgaier, Custer, Hill, Chandler Smith, Shane Van Gisbergen, Jesse Love, Sam Mayer, Riley Herbst. They've all won a race this year. Sheldon Creed, Allmendinger, Sammy Smith, Kligerman. Nope, they haven't won yet. Gotta wait for that. Oh boy, it is just. When's he gonna win? When is he gonna win? I don't know if he's gonna win ever. He led 28 laps, but he lost the lead to Custer the same way that Custer lost the lead to Creed. And it cost him the race. So he just ran around and finished second. Chandler Smith had a solid night. He won pole. He led some laps. Finished third. Jesse Love had a good night. So Truex, 4th and 5th for those guys. I mentioned it. Junior finished 7th to Brandon Jones. Ryan Sieg, though, finished 8th, but he didn't make the playoffs on it. You know what I mean? So, unfortunate there. Looking through. Yeah, nothing else really stands out. I mean, well, actually, Jeff Earnhardt. So Jeff Earnhardt, first stage, phenomenal. He was inside the top 5, maybe fell back to 6th. And then for some reason, he just kind of vanished. Apparently he wrecked out, and I didn't even know about it. So, yeah, that was unfortunate. Also, Jeremy Clements won a stage as a strategy play to try and make up track position, and basically win to get in. Yep, there was that. We also had the truck race. I kind of don't remember anything about it other than Layne Riggs winning again because it happened on the same night of Thursday Night Football and the Florida State Builders Area Pro Series. So I had the broadcast during that, so I really didn't see much of it, but I did see that Layne Riggs won. And literally the definition of too little, too late. I mean, he's won both playoff races. I don't. Do they go to Kansas? Let me go ahead and check the schedule for this. They do go to Kansas, so I don't think Layne Riggs is going to win that. So we might see a playoff driver win that. But Layne Riggs, a couple of wins to cap off the season after missing the playoffs. That's that's their main goal. If you're not in the playoffs, your main goal is to just go out there and win races. His team's doing just that. Now, did they get lucky with 2 short tracks being in the playoffs? Yes, they did. Because Layne Riggs really hasn't performed well on tracks larger than a mile, but tracks shorter than a mile, he's been killer in. He's been so good. So, it's something to build on for 2025 for Layne Riggs. So, he's got the talent. Season's not lost. Well, let me correct that. The playoffs, yeah, that's lost. The spirit on the team for the regular season, it's not lost because they're still going out there. They're still competitive. They're still getting the jobs done. They're doing the things they need to do right, and they're winning races. So they haven't lost that. That's what I mean. And I'll try to get articles out for all 3 series this weekend for HunterSleppyMedia.com. I think I did Trucks and Xfinity. I didn't do Cup because after last weekend at the Glen, I was like, nope, I just cannot. I cannot put this out because Watkins Glen was just such a stressful race where none of my picks did good. I only had 2 picks this weekend. Christopher Bell, top 5. Kyle Larson, top 5. And obviously Larson got the top 5. Bell fell back to 5th, but was able to hold on. So I lucked out there. I should have done Bubba top 10 as well. I should have done that. And Ryan Preece. But, oh well. We'll talk about what happens at Kansas next week. Yeah, that's going to be it. For episode 32 of the Louisiana Divebomb podcast, I'm slurring my words. I need some water. I need some tissues. My nose is running. I gotta go. I'll catch y'all next weekend. See ya!